Good afternoon. How are you doing? Good morning. Good evening, depending on which part of the world you are in. How are we all doing? This is Growth Habits with Ngozi, and I am your personal guide on this journey of growth. So, we are going to go around and ensure that we are actually live where we need to be live. Yes, we are live on Facebook, we are live on Instagram. Um, Let me check YouTube. Okay. That's taking a while. All right, we are live on YouTube and we are live on LinkedIn. So we are live everywhere we need to be live. So how are you doing today? Welcome once again to Growth Habits with Ngozi. I am your personal guide on this journey of growth. Welcome to session 148. Session 148 of Growth Habits with Ngozi. And this is our reinvention season. This month of April is our reinvention season. And we are talking about for the whole month evolve without losing yourself. That is what we are considering. How to evolve without losing yourself. Because we all need to evolve for sure. But sometimes it's easy to lose your true self because you are evolving. So, what we want to do is to ensure we are evolving, to ensure we are growing, but we are not losing ourselves. We're not losing ourselves. So, we are evolving without losing ourselves this month of April. Our topic today is reinventing without apology. Yes, without having to say, um, sorry for growing. You understand? So, reinventing without apology. We started this series last week and we talked about, sorry, just give me 1 second. Let me check something. I need to send something out quickly. Bear with me for just 1 second. Okay, so yeah, um, we started this series last week and we talked about outgrowing old versions of you. That was what we talked about last week, outgrowing old versions of you. And today we are talking about reinventing without apology. Okay, yes, I've sent out what I needed to send. I just needed to be sure it is gone. All right, so yes, we talked about last week outgrowing old versions of yourself. We know that growth is uncomfortable, always has been, always will be. And for you to grow, you do have to let go of something. You do have to let go of something. You can't hold on to the old version of yourself while you're growing into your new self. So you need to get let go, and we have to be able to do that letting go without feeling guilty about it. And you need to ensure that you're aligning yourself, aligning your thoughts, aligning your plans, aligning everything with who God is calling you to become. So that is basically what we talked about last week. And so this week we're going to move forward. Um, as I said, be fast. I always say this. I'm beginning to sound like a broken record because every week I always want to be fast and I wind up still spending 45 minutes to 50 minutes many times. But I'll try my best. So this week we are moving further because it's one thing that you recognize that you have outgrown a version of yourself is another thing completely to fully step into that new version without apology. Um, It looks like our network has paused. Well, I'm going to keep going. It seems to still be showing. Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, it's one thing to recognize that you have outgrown a version of yourself, and a whole different ball game to fully step into that new version without apology, without trying to justify to anyone why you are becoming this new person. That is what we really want to talk about, because most times we want to justify, want people to validate our growth, this new person we are becoming. But we really don't have to. We really don't have to. Growth, as long as you're growing, um, do I say properly? Is that the word I'm looking for? Or you're growing in the right direction, you don't have to really have any other person validate your growth. You don't really have to. Um, Growth requires you to be bold, because some people will not understand, some people will misinterpret your growth or the outcomes or the output of your growth. But it is what it is, as they say. It is what it is. It requires you to be bold, and not just that you're aware that you're growing. You just have to be bold and go on with the growth process. Let the process play out. So sometimes, I have to say this, sometimes growth feels like rebellion to others. Most times it's others that get that feeling, that impression. It feels like rebellion, because you're changing, and people do notice that you're changing. There's no way that you're changing and people don't notice. People notice that you're changing. Not even, you don't even have to announce the change. You don't have to announce the growth. It doesn't need an announcement. It just shows, because your patterns are changing. If you used to be a yes member, you now say no. There are some of us, and I say us, who at a point they don't know how to say no. We say yes to everything, to the point that we burn out in trying to do all that we have said yes to. But when you begin to say no, people are noticing, people are seeing it. When you begin to step back where you used to overexert yourself, people are noticing, people are seeing. When you become more intentional, when you become more focused, when you become more selective in who you deal with, how you deal with them, and all that, people take note, people notice it, people notice it. And they now begin to say things to you like, Ngozi, you've changed. Of course you have changed. Of course you have changed. You are growing. So of course you have changed. But the thing is, because people are more comfortable with that old version of you that they can predict, that they can control, they're more comfortable with it. So now that you're growing more. Let me not say becoming any other thing. Now that you're growing, now that you're beginning to set boundaries, now that you're beginning to um, be you without apology, people are noticing, and they're beginning to feel uncomfortable. They're beginning to feel uncomfortable. And you see that, I like to give examples in the Bible. I like to get my examples from the Bible. When Jesus, in his earthly ministry, when he began to operate in his full authority, when he began to really showcase himself as the Savior, the one that's been sent, people who were familiar with the carpenter's son, they struggled with it. They struggled to accept it. They even asked questions like, is this not the carpenter's son? I mean, where did he get this knowledge he's now exhibiting? Where did this authority come from? It's not because, no, they were not. rejecting him or struggling to accept him because they actually thought he was wrong or because he was even wrong, but because they were not comfortable because he had gone beyond their expectations. And that is what happens to us. Once we begin to grow, once we begin to make the changes that are necessary to take us from point A to point B, to take us from where we are to where we need to be, people become uncomfortable because they are seeing that we are growing beyond their expectations. And very few people are comfortable with that. Very few. So if they begin to say things like you've changed, and yes, they're not saying it in a good way. They're not saying you've changed in a good way. They're saying it as if you're doing something wrong. But my dear, you're doing nothing wrong. You're just growing. You're just growing. And growth is essential. Yes, it will make people uncomfortable. You just have to be okay with the fact that you're growing will make people uncomfortable. Some people will not be able to deal with this you. They will not. And it's fine. It's okay. It's okay that they're not comfortable with this new you. Because familiarity always resists transformation. Always. Familiarity always resists transformation because we like the status quo. We like things as it is, as it was in the beginning. So shall it be, world without end, that kind of thing. We like the familiar, and the familiar will always resist transformation. And if we are not careful, the tendency is for us to begin to shrink our growth so that we can maintain the acceptance of whoever. Excuse me. So we can maintain acceptance. We want to shrink our growth. You should never have to shrink your growth. You should never have to dim your light because it gets, or someone feels that your light is too bright. Someone feels that your light is too bright. You should never have to dim your light. Don't shrink your growth to maintain acceptance. No. And that idea of shrinking your growth to maintain acceptance, what I call apologetic living. Apologetic living. And you're stuck there where you are. You know you need to improve. You know you need to do better, but you're stuck because you're trying to maintain acceptance. You're living apologetically, apologetic living. You're over explaining, you're over adjusting, you're over apologizing for your growth. You should never have to do that. Like I said, I call it apologetic living, and basically it just means living in a way that you're constantly seeking approval before expression. You're constantly seeking approval before expression. Doesn't help. You can't grow like that, honestly. You really cannot grow when you're constantly seeking approval before expression. It's like you're always saying, I hope this is okay. I don't want to offend anyone. Maybe I'm doing too much. You're not doing too much. You will offend some people. Even at your best, you will offend some people. Even when you dim that your light, even when you now shrink your growth, some people are still offended by it. So why bother? So if you're always, or if you're in an environment where you're always seeking validation, please come out of there because you cannot grow there. Your growth trajectory will never soar, will never get to the heights it's supposed to. You can't thrive in that environment where you're constantly seeking validation. You cannot thrive. So come out from there. Come out from there. There's the fact. Ask yourself at each point, whose approval is governing my life? The only approval you actually need, honestly, the only approval you need to seek before expression is God's approval. For if you ask me, The only approval you need before expression is God's approval. Once you have his approval, step out. He knows how to sort out the other things. Now, this is not me encouraging you to be a stubborn person, to be a disobedient person. For example, you're married, you now don't, ask, you don't consider your husband or your spouse, let me call it spouse because it goes the other way around. You don't consider your spouse's opinion, you just do whatever you like. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when it becomes the norm that you cannot move without seeking this approval. When it becomes the norm that even when you most times even when you seek this approval, it's not given because this will now make you exceed the expectation of the person you're seeking approval from. He's not ready to give it, she's not ready to give it. So yes, you apologetic living doesn't help you grow. You can't survive when you're living apologetically. You need to ensure that grow you grow. Part of this reinvention season that we're going through is that we grow. And to do that, you have to get clear on your direction. Get clear on your direction. Know where you are going. Know where you are going. I've said this so many times, and I hope it is getting into someone's head. Know where you are going. If you don't know where you are going, you keep adjusting to the person A says this, you adjust. Person B says the other, you adjust. Person C says another thing, you adjust because you yourself do not know where you're going. Excuse me. I do not know where you're going. So start by getting clear on your direction. If I know from the get go that I'm heading to Rumola, if you live in Port Harcourt, you will understand this. And then someone is telling me that if I come out of my house, I should go left. I might consider it, but that is one, a longer route. First of all, I will still get to Rumola. If I go left, it will take me longer, one, than if I go right. But because I know where I'm going, I would know that I should just turn right as I come out of my gate. That is the quickest route to get me to Rumola. And okay, let's even assume that something happens, I take the left, because in my head, okay, I can still get to Rumola if I take left. Then when I get to the next junction, I go left again. Definitely, I'm not heading towards Rumola anymore. Definitely, I'm not heading towards Rumola anymore. But I would only know that because I know that I'm going to Rumola. So am clear on where I'm going. I'm clear on who I am becoming. If you don't have that clarity, once again, book a one on one clarity call with me. Book a one on one clarity call with me so that you can get some kind of direction on where you are going. So that you don't keep adjusting, you don't keep making wrong turns, and then you begin to delay getting to your destination or you completely miss the way. So get clear on your direction. Two, release the need for approval. Release it. Not everyone will understand your evolution. Just know that. As we say, know it and know peace. Not everyone will understand your evolution. And it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Everybody will not understand. Just know it. They will not. There is no way they will. So just know that and move on with your life. That they don't understand is fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so okay. And move on. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can see who is on Facebook. Um, I can't see it. Even connecting the other day when I connected on my phone, I was able to see who is there so that I can say hello. Okay, well, all right. Oh, really? Okay, so that's that. I can't, I don't know why. I still can't get over the fact that suddenly I can't see who is watching on Facebook. Okay, so release the need for approval, like I said. Not everyone will understand your evolution, not everyone will understand your growth, and it is fine. It's okay. It's very, very okay. Then own your growth, own it. You don't have to explain to everyone what is happening with you on your growth journey. You don't have to. You don't have to explain to everyone the work that God is doing in you in this growth journey. You don't have to own it. It is yours. Own it. Walk the walk. Do the work that needs to be done, and just own it. Your results will speak in time. Your results will speak in time. They always do. So in time, your results will speak. So own your growth and then work it out consistently. Work it out. This reinvention we're talking about is not a one time decision, it's not a one time, one off thing. It's a daily posture that you take. It's a daily posture that you take. So it is every day you're working it out. Every day you're working it out. Every day you're working it out. So grow, as we said, GROW. This is the reinvention framework if you want to if you want to give it a name. Grow, GROW. Get clear on your direction. R, release the need for approval. O, own your growth. And W, work it out consistently every day. Every day. Every day. Now, of course, in order to do this, in order to achieve this, in order to grow, you have to have an internal validation. Let me say this because you need to be confident to carry out all that you need to carry out in order to become this new version of yourself, this new you. You have to be confident. But it doesn't mean you have to be loud, but it means that you have to know who you are. You have to know whose you are, and you have to know what you are called to do. These are the essentials. This is the internal validation you need in order to truly reinvent yourself without apology. Without apology. See, if you know who you are, you know whose you are, you know what you are called to do, you won't even really hear what others are saying. You won't even really hear. You will not. So you will not be distracted. You have to understand your identity because identity must be affirmed before performance. Before you begin to showcase, you must know who you are. Your identity must be assured. Your identity must be assured. That internal validation is all the validation you need. That is all the validation you need. It is critical that we understand that our identity must be affirmed before performance, before we begin to act out, before we begin to show out. So identity must be affirmed. Don't wait to be externally validated before you move. Be, be internally validated first. That is when you begin to grow really. That is when real growth truly is happening. You are internally validated, you are spiritually validated, you know who you are, you know whose you are, you know what you are called to do, and that is what drives you. The distractions you can overlook. You can overlook. You can overlook. You can overlook the distractions. Kelechi, I see you on Facebook. That's the only one I just saw because she liked. That's what I can see. She liked, so she's here right now. And I said this, I think from the beginning, you will be misunderstood. You will be misunderstood. And that is really part of the process. You understand me? It is part of the process. Reinvention comes with friction. There must be some friction. Some people will misinterpret your silence, that you're no longer, out there. They will misunderstand it. They will misinterpret it. Some people will misread your boundaries. Some people will misjudge your focus. It is normal. Expect it. Know that it is part of the process. But see, one thing that we have to kind of internalize is that not every misunderstanding requires correction. It's not everyone. Some misunderstanding is just let it be there. Did you notice that in the life of Jesus, he did not respond to every accusation? That was one thing that baffled me about the life of Jesus. There were some accusations that I felt, me personally, that he should respond to, but he didn't. He did not respond to every accusation because he understood that some people will misinterpret his silence. Some people will misread his boundaries. Some people will misjudge his focus. He knew it. He knew that misunderstanding is part of the process. He knew that reinvention comes with friction. He understood it. So you don't have to respond to every accusation. You don't have to correct every misunderstanding. Sometimes you just need to, hold yourself. It's not every explanation that you must make. It's not every opinion that deserves your energy. Sometimes ignore. But you see, to know the one to ignore, the one to respond to, you need to understand who you are, whose you are, what you are called to do. It's that understanding that helps fuel your ability to discern when to explain, when not to explain, to discern when to respond, when not to respond. So now, because I've told you that some friction is involved, we need to have a way to deal with the pressure, how to handle the pressure of people's external validation or people's external opinions trying to, come in and disrupt your growth process. We need to have a way to deal with that. And one of the first things we need to do is to stay rooted in our identity. Like, I've said this so many times now that even me, I'm beginning to wonder whether I should stop it. Stay rooted in your identity. Know who you are, especially in God. Know who you are. Know who you are. Understand it. Understand who you are. Stay rooted, stay connected and rooted in your identity. Let your identity be the tap root that is keeping you grounded. Stay rooted in your identity. Two, trust the process. Growth is definitely unfolding, even especially in those times that is uncomfortable. Let me even say it. It's especially in those times when things are uncomfortable, growth is unfolding. Trust the process. Trust that process. Trust the process. Then avoid over explaining. This is the core of today's teaching. Avoid over explaining. The core of today's conversation, avoid over explaining. Clarity does not require constant defense. It's not your many explanations that makes the vision clearer. It's not. So clarity does not require constant defense. You don't have to always defend your vision, your growth. You don't have to. Is your understanding of it, is your internalizing it, is your staying rooted to your identity. That is what will help you. know when to explain, and know when to ignore. So avoid over explaining. Normalize discomfort. Like I said from the beginning of today's session, discomfort is part of the growth process. People will misunderstand. They will, for sure. Normalize it. Know that it's a sign of expansion. Know that this is part of the process. Know that this is part of what I need to grow. It's part of the process. Then demonstrate through results. Allow your life to speak. Let your life speak. Let your life, your results, the changes that are happening in you, let that be the explanation. Let that be the explanation to people that are seeking explanations from you. Let the results that show be that explanation. So, this is how you can handle the pressure during this reinvention season. This is how you can handle the pressure of people trying to truncate your growth by butting in, trying to put in their own opinions, their own advice, their own, well, I say expressions. Stay rooted in your identity, know who you are, understand who you are in God, trust the process, know that growth is unfolding even when things are uncomfortable, especially when it is uncomfortable. Something is happening. Avoid over explaining. Clarity does not require constant defense. It doesn't require constant defense. No. Normalize discomfort is a sign of expansion, is part of the growth process, and then demonstrate through results. Let your life speak. Let the changes happening in you speak. Let the results that you're producing speak. Let them speak. All right. In trying to, I think I'm coming to the end of this session. I think so. I might just sneak it today. Reinventing without apology is about alignment. It's not about arrogance. It's not about trying to show that you know everything. It's not about trying to be proud. It's not about being disrespectful to people. Definitely not. It's not about being arrogant at any time. No. It's simply about aligning yourself to your purposes. It's choosing to live your life according to your purpose, according to growth, according to your calling, choosing to live your life in accordance to those things. That is what this reinventing without apology is all about. Because when you live your life in accordance with your purpose, in accordance with the growth that is happening in you and within you, in accordance to your calling, you don't even have time to explain too much. You have too much to achieve. You have so many targets to meet. You have so many things to do. And we have to be careful. Let me put a caveat here because it's so easy to drift into arrogance, really. It's very, very easy to drift into arrogance. The key here, or the balance here, is to operate with authority because you know who you are, you know your calling, you know your purpose, and at the same time, do this with humility. You can be firm, but you don't have to be defensive. You can be clear without being arrogant. It is possible, and that is the key. And we see it also once again in the life of Jesus. He was always firm, but you wouldn't call him defensive in any way. He was always clear about what he was trying to say. Even when he's correcting people, when he's trying to make the claims of his being the Son of God, he was clear about what he was saying, but he was never arrogant about it. So you can see that reinventing without apology is not about arrogance. It's not about you being disrespectful to people. It's not about you being proud. It's not about you treating people poorly or speaking to people anyhow or ignoring people in such a way that they feel belittled. Oh, no. No. It's about you knowing your purpose and living out your life in accordance to that purpose, in accordance to your calling, in accordance to your growth. It's operating with authority, yet with humility. That is the balance we must find. And it's not easy, but it is doable. It's doable. Having said this, when I say, I just want to make this point. When I say we don't have to over explain, I'm not saying that there's no situation where you have to make some explanations. No. There's there's a clear line. Well, it's not that clear now that I think about it, between saying what needs to be said and then going into long justifications for no real purpose. So, yes, you can say what needs to be said about your growth, about your purpose, about this life you've chosen to live. Say what needs to be said. Say it clearly, say it calmly. You're not quarreling with anyone. There is no argument about it. Because you understand it properly, you can explain it. You can say clearly, calmly what needs to be said, but you don't have to go into any long justifications. Don't have to. The only person you need to get their validation is God. He's the only one you need to get their validation. Every other person, you must not have their validation. You must not have their validation. Okay, so let me ask us a few questions. As I ask you, I also ask myself. And one of the first questions I asked myself is, where have I been shrinking in order to stay accepted? Where have I been shrinking in order to stay accepted? What areas of your life? Is it in the place of work? Is it in the church? Is it in your career? Is it anywhere? What parts of your life, what areas are you shrinking so that you stay accepted? Is it in doing, the calling that God has called you, the purpose, the thing that He has given you, in trying to carry it out? You're trying to, you feel people are becoming offended by your light, by your growth, and you now want to shrink so that you're accepted. You don't have to be, you don't have to shrink. So, what area, look at your life, consider what areas have I been shrinking in order to stay accepted? Whose approval am I prioritizing? Okay. If you're in Nigeria, you know what that means. I'm sure you heard that. If you're in Nigeria, you know what that means. Whose approval am I prioritizing over God's direction? I think this is the key. Whose approval am I prioritizing over God's direction? Because like I told us, what we really need is God's direction, is His approval we need to seek in order to live out our lives. So, whose approval am I prioritizing in my life over God's direction? And what would I do differently if I stopped apologizing for my growth? That one is a strong one. What would I do differently if I stopped apologizing for my growth? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. These are reflective questions. I'm not asking you to tell me your responses, but if you feel like you can't tell me your responses, I'm always okay. Favor, yes, up NEPA. Favor knows what that sound means. She said, up NEPA, yes. Yes. So really, as I'm thinking now, this last question, I'm still pondering on it in my own head, even right now. What would I do differently if I stopped apologizing for my growth? What would I do differently? What would I even attempt if I didn't have to apologize for my growth? If I didn't have to worry about what would they say? What would I do? What would I do differently? What would I attempt? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. These are the questions we need to ponder on, and they will help us figure out how to live this life, how to reinvent ourselves, how to reinvent um, ourselves without apology, without apologizing for growing, without having to explain and explain and explain and over explain about our growth. And let me also say a few things now. Um, you're allowed to evolve. It is very much allowed. It's expected that you evolve. It's expected that I evolve. It's expected that we evolve. It's an expectation, and you're allowed to grow beyond expectations. You're allowed to grow beyond your own expectations, actually. You're allowed to grow beyond the expectations of others. It's expected that you grow beyond the expectations of others. It's even expected you grow beyond your own expectations. You're allowed to step into rooms, step into forums that once intimidated you. You're allowed. It is allowed. It's even expected. And you don't have to apologize for growing. You don't have to apologize for evolving. You don't have to apologize for growing beyond expectations. You don't have to apologize for stepping into rooms that once intimidated you. You don't have to apologize for it. You don't have to apologize for becoming who God is calling you to be. You don't have to apologize for that. You just need to understand it. Understand it fully and completely, and then walk in it. Step out in it. Don't wait till you even have a full understanding, or as in you have the full blueprint. Start. He has a way of making the way clear as you go. God has a way of making the way clear as you go. So, my apologies for yawning. It's been an interesting few days for me. Um, Finally, this week, don't just think about growth. Walk in it. Don't just think about growth. Own it. Own it. Embody it. Let growth be who you are. If that even makes sense. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Walk in that growth. Own it. Embody it. Because the next level you need to get to in life is not waiting for permission. It's not. Is waiting for alignment, is waiting for you to align to your identity, is waiting for you to align to who God has proposed you to be. It's not waiting for permission from anyone. So walk in it, own it, embody it. Okay, I just saw a message from Faye, but let me just look at it. She said, I've been shrinking in my friendships to stay accepted. For some reason, I can't open it. Okay, all right, now I can. Okay. She says, I've been shrinking in my friendships to stay accepted. A long tail, and sadly in church too. Recently, I made a decision not to do so anymore. But the challenge is how to, because there isn't a reaction on the outside. There's a silent conflict within too, and I'm not willing to budge, not anymore. Okay, there isn't only a reaction. Like I said, if we really want to um, stop shrinking and start, is this stepping out? I want to say, yeah, if you want to stop shrinking and start stepping out into, the first point really is to know the direction you are going. I said this in the course of the message. Know the direction you are going. Once you understand that direction, once you are clear about where you are going, you will not once again keep adjusting to people's opinions. You are clear where you are going. You understand the vision. You understand your purpose. You understand the plan of God for you. Then release that need for approval. Let it go. Not everyone will understand your growth. I said it. Not everyone. And it is okay for not everyone to understand. Release that need for approval. It's not, it's not something you do once. I said it before too, so it bears repeating. It's not something you do once. You have to keep releasing the need for approval. You have to keep getting clarity on your direction. Then on your growth, stop explaining to every single person, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, what God is trying to work out in you. You don't have to explain it to everyone. You need to understand it, yes, but you don't have to explain it to every single person. Own it. It is your journey. It is your growth. Learn how to set boundaries and stick to the boundaries you have set. Set boundaries and stick to it. That is part of owning this growth we're talking about. And then work in it consistently. You don't set boundaries and then tomorrow you relax those boundaries and you expect people to, they will not. So set the boundaries and be consistent in enforcing the boundaries that you have set. See, everybody will never align. Everybody cannot align. Some people will definitely misunderstand that you're trying to grow. They will definitely misunderstand that you're going in a different direction in your life. They will definitely misunderstand that you're trying to prioritize certain things in your life. They will definitely misunderstand it. And it is fine. It's okay. Everybody need not understand. I think that is even one of the biggest hindrances we need to get over is that fact that everybody will not understand. Know it and accept it. So there are some relationships that will not survive your growth process. There are. There are some relationships that will not survive your growth process. Know it. Expect it. And it is okay. Now, when I say they will not survive, let me also put this caveat here, favor. It doesn't mean you've cut the person off and they are no longer your friends. The dynamics of the friendship has just changed. That's all. The dynamics of the friendship has changed. The person no longer has the same access that they used to have into your life. They don't have it. That's what it means. So I don't know if this makes sense to you. Um, I don't know if this helps you. Um, in knowing how to, because you said the challenge is how to not shrink. I hope this helps you knowing how to not shrink, how to remain, how to keep shining your light, even as maybe someone is trying to make you dim your light. I hope this helps you. You can still let me know if you want me to explain more. Yeah, remember I mentioned that there's a need to operate in the authority of your identity, of who you are, of where you are going in that authority, but yet with humility. Because we can't be proud about it, we can't be arrogant, we can't be disrespectful to people because we are growing and you know we want to shine our light. We're trying not to shrink. No, we can't become proud people. We can't become arrogant people. We can't become disrespectful in the process. We must be able to have that balance of having the authority of who we are and at the same time remain humble. Yes. Yes, truly, people, not everyone will understand. You don't have to explain to everyone. You don't have to. And when you really, really have taken time to understand who you are, whose you are, and what is your purpose, where are you going, you will know who to explain to and who not to explain to. You will know how far to explain to who. So it's not everyone. Everyone cannot align. Yeah. Okay, no problem, Favor. I'm glad I was able to help you today. Yes, yes, yes. Very important to note that you're not quarreling with the person, the person that is now being dropped in the process of your growing. You're not quarreling with the person, you're not cutting them off, but the dynamics of your friendship has changed. The dynamics of your friendship have changed, and it's fine. It's even expected that some friendships, the dynamics will change. So, yes, I hope that I made that clear. And with that, do I have any other comments? Let me quickly check before I call it a day. I think I will bring this session to a close here. We have done 50 whole minutes. So, yeah, I will bring this session to a close. Okay, there's no comments on YouTube. All right, so thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. And for those also watching the replay, thank you. You can see how this NEPA, PHCN, how they are doing. They take the light, they bring it, they take it, they bring it. So it's part of life here. All right, so thank you for joining me once again. It's always a pleasure. For those who are watching the replay, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. And please follow us on all our social media handles. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, everywhere. We're everywhere, in fact. Just check Growth Habits with Ngozi or check my name. You will find us everywhere. Like I said, if you still need more clarity, book a one-on-one clarity session. I've posted the link severally. I'll post it again from my calendar. Book a one-on-one clarity session with me, and we can discuss it. Go on Amazon, type in my name. You'll see all my books. Buy one, buy two, buy three, whichever one. And remember to make today and every day count. Be valuable and ensure that you are growing. And please don't ever dim your light because of anyone else. No. But at the same time, make sure you're not shining your light inside people's eyes either. So keep growing, maintain the boundaries that you have established, keep growing, and do not shrink yourself for anyone. Everybody does not need an explanation from you. No. Thank you once again for joining me. Do join us next week, Tuesday. Uh, yes, join us next week, Tuesday, when our topic will be rebranding your mind. Yes, rebranding your mind. That's what we're going to talk about next week, Tuesday. Thank you all so much and do have an awesome, awesome day. Bye.